We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
Heightened security tonight across several U.S. embassies in the Middle East ahead of tomorrow's expected announcement from the president that he will make good on that campaign promise and move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, basically recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. A lot of concerns in the region. A lot of other leaders in other countries, in the Arab countries, say that that could undermine the peace process. Earlier, I talked to Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president, and asked her why the White House believes that this is a good decision.
The president has received calls and initiated calls with a number of leaders today, and he's also consulted with his national security and foreign policy teams, and he will make the final announcement tomorrow. But Martha, you played the clip of the candidate, Mr. Trump, now the president, making that promise, making that statement. And this is a promise that past presidents have made. President Bill Clinton made the promise, President George W. Bush. In fact, in 1995, by a vote of 93-5, the United States Senate declared Jerusalem the capital to be Israel's capital and promised to move it there just 4 short years later.
I want to play this from the press briefing today from Sarah Huckabee Sanders when she was asked about the news that the Deutsche Bank holdings of the Trump family were part of the investigation, that the tentacles of the investigation were reaching deep into the finances of the family prior to the presidency. Here's her comment on that, and then I would love to hear from you on it.
The news reports that the special counsel had subpoenaed financial records relating to the president are completely false. No subpoena has been issued or received. We've confirmed this with the bank and other sources. I think that this is another example of the media going too far too fast.
So would you confirm that no subpoena has been received? And does that also mean that no documents have been voluntarily handed over? Perhaps everything that has been requested has been handed over and a subpoena wasn't necessary?
You saw Jay Sekulow, one of the president's attorneys, make a similar statement publicly that this is false. And you also know that we have said time and time again at this White House that everybody is complying. Anybody that's been asked to comply will comply, of course. But Sarah is right that this was another example of folks getting ahead of themselves, hoping the worst would be true. You saw that last Friday in the egregious false report by ABC News' Brian Ross that just laid out there for 7 or 8 hours before it was clarified, let alone corrected, let alone retracted, and him suspended, not even terminated. And so, of course, we know the presumptive negativity attends. We know this has gone on for a year. But at this time, listening to our press secretary and the president's own attorney make a statement on this, I think is very important. You know, Martha, we here at the White House understand that people who get it wrong really never apologize. But think of the effect of last Friday's false report. It moved markets, a 350-point decline. And that was a complete false report. I know ABC News, it's reported that.
We reported on it extensively.
Absolutely,
here.
And I saw you do that. But I think this is another example of the same type of conduct.
Let me address another report that you can either debunk or agree with, that there's panic in the White House, that there are people who work at the White House that are concerned that they're going to jail. You hear these reports across the morning on other channels. What do you say to them?
I don't hear all of those reports. What I would say is this is a White House that's pushing through so many meetings, so many pieces of the president and the vice president's agenda every single day. Just today, I mean, it's only Tuesday. It feels like it's next Tuesday already. And just today, the president met with United States senators on a policy issue. Then he went right into the Oval Office to meet with families. I was there for that meeting, families who are telling him what they like about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act package. He certainly was meeting with his national security advisors. Tomorrow we have a cabinet meeting. The president, it's just like his full schedule and a full agenda of issues. You see historic tax cuts. We're just a couple of days away, a couple of weeks away from historic tax cuts for families and individuals and for job creators. So things here are moving apace. The usual Trump pace, not the swamp speed that folks in Washington are accustomed to. And this investigation It's out of the White House insofar as whatever's going on over there is going on over there. It's a special counsel investigation. We're all complying. But the president also has made very clear there's no collusion. And Martha, let's be very clear and very fair here. That is what the media and the Democrats promised for over a year now. They have wasted all of 2016 talking about Russia instead of America and not talking about the policies that affect Americans. It's so disappointing you can't get a single Democratic senator to come on board for tax cuts.
All right. I want to ask you one last thing, and it has to do with the Alabama Senate election. Jeff Flake today, put out a picture of a $100 check that he wrote to Doug Jones. Your thought on that, and also on why the president didn't back his original candidate in Luther Strange. Why didn't he come out and press for people to do a writing candidacy and follow his initial instincts in this race?
Several things. First, the president did back a different candidate in the primary, the incumbent Republican senator. Secondly, the president has made very clear that the people of Alabama should decide who represents in the United States Senate. And we respect the will of the Alabama voters a week from today, and we feel that people they've been talking about a number of different issues, but this president has also made very clear something important here. He does not want a liberal Democrat in that seat, and he wants somebody who's going to be a reliable vote for their shared agenda on tax cuts, on securing the border. With respect to Senator Flake, I just wanted to make clear to tell your viewers that Senator Flake sat right next to the president today at a lunch here, and I just ran into Senator Flake literally in his tuxedo. He's on his way to the congressional ball as I was coming out here to do this interview. So he's here tonight as a guest of the president and the first lady at the congressional ball for the holidays. We're glad he is, and we're glad that he's a vote for tax cuts as well.
All right, we'll have fun. Congressional ball underway shortly. Kellyanne Conway, thanks a lot. Good to talk to you as always. We'll see you soon.
My pleasure.